All right, y'all. We have now reached the 2021-2022 NBA champion Golden State Warriors, and kind of a sneaky, interesting offseason for the champs, if you ask me. Starting with kind of the guys they had to let go, just in terms of financial, in terms of their financial situation. When you look at Gary Payton II, Otto Porter Jr., and Juan Toscano Anderson. You could throw Damian Lee in there as well if you want. But in terms of, guys that fulfilled specific roles for them for their playoff run, guys that will have to now, those voids will have to be filled some other way. Can they do that effectively? Can some of their, youth fill those gaps? I think probably. But I do think, especially Gary Payton, Juan Toscano brought that kind of grit, that defensive ability that, when you have a star like Steph Curry, who's, definitely underrated defensively, but just in terms of like physically, not just built for defense, to have those two guys be able to, over the course of the regular season and playoffs, bring that defensive grit, that's hard to find. So whether that plays a role into, what their title hopes look like going forward, we'll see. They bring in Dante DiVincenzo, JaMychal Green. I think DiVincenzo's really going to flourish in this offense. I think he's going to get a ton of open looks, and we'll see kind of the DiVincenzo we saw in Milwaukee, and maybe even a better version of that going forward, especially under the tutelage of, two of the greatest shooters ever in Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Now, that's some of the smaller stuff. The real big thing here, we'll see if it's a big thing. I think it's a kernel that's been exposed here that could be, snowball into a big story later on. This whole Draymond Green max contract situation. Draymond, he's got the podcast, he's coming off a title. Obviously, this is the time to shoot down all of the haters, all of the ones that have done you wrong. He's got a podcast, he has a platform. He basically said he deserves a max extension from Golden State. And, you can try and make the argument of what he's brought to the franchise, what he means on and off the court. Obviously, a leader, someone who pushes teammates. And, that's all well and good. I don't think he's worth max money. I think, especially at his age, he's kind of turned into an offensive liability around the perimeter, just has not shot the ball very well. And obviously with that roster, it really doesn't matter. But, on most teams, Draymond Green would not probably flourish. It's just, he's perfect situation for him as a facilitator, as a defensive kind of mastermind. But, we saw it when, him and Steph kind of scrambled together to kind of make the play-in a spotty season where they didn't all play, the full season. But, Draymond in certain circumstances is way better than in others. He's not someone you could play and plug in any, roster. So that's number one. Obviously now older, he's in his 30s. If we're talking like 4 to 5 year extension, I think, this is the kind of deal that really hamstrings a team for that period if you do agree to that much money for that extended period of time. If he wants 2 years at, 30 or 35, I don't hate it if they're willing to, kind of foot the bill in terms of tax and all that. Then maybe you could talk me into that. But if he wants long-term max, I would really hesitate. And, it's kind of the same thing when you look at Klay Thompson. Obviously, everyone loves Klay Thompson. Again, like I said, one of the best shooters ever. But when you look at just strictly his latest extension and how much he's going to be making the next couple of years, this is a guy coming off major injuries. We've seen flashes of the former Klay, but he's just, maybe this season going to be consistently. But he's already into that deal enough where you're like, wow, the Warriors just spent, $100 million on a guy that hasn't played very much. And still, who knows what he's going to be going forward. Any other team that probably cripples them for quite a while, but because of just the amount of assets, the improvement of Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Kevin Looney, they were able to win a title without, Klay Thompson being the Klay Thompson of past seasons. And look, I think this could be the beginning of the end for the Golden State Warriors. Maybe not just from a basketball standpoint, but just from an arc. You look at, they did it this year. They proved they didn't need Kevin Durant. You add, it to Steph Curry's legacy, all the playoff numbers, all the accomplishments. He gets the finals MVP. And, what else is there really to do for them? What is going to fuel their fire going forward? Draymond's already talking about getting his payday. And I don't think this is the recipe for a repeat. Like I said about Klay, Jordan Poole, is he going to get paid? That's going to be a whole fiasco inside circus thing. Going into the season, what they do with Andrew Wiggins, coming on to the last year of his deal, what does that look like? There's just a lot of question marks here where now you have some teams in the West. We look at Memphis, Denver, and Clippers getting healthy. Phoenix shouldn't be going anywhere. That are, would seem to be more hungry than, the Warriors coming into this season, another grueling 82-game haul. Are they going to be able to find that kind of, passion, or is this going to be kind of like we're going to phone it in? Hopefully we can, find it in the playoffs. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. I do think they'll miss those role guys. But, how much does Steph Curry have left? Can he carry this team again? Are they forced to maybe make a move? What is James Wiseman, Kuminga, and Moses Moody? How do they look like, coming out of this season? And obviously James Wiseman, big question mark going forward. And, maybe those rookies start to take off and they kind of just inherit this and it's a pretty smooth transition. Not sure that can happen in a title year. I think, in that kind of transition, you're probably going to have some losses and it's just going to be really tough. So if I were to mark it now of can the Warriors win another title, I'm saying the chances are going to have already decreased and are going to just continue to decrease. It's just really hard. I just don't see it happening. And maybe, if they can, I don't know who's going to trade for Draymond unless it is another contender that feels like he can really bring, everything he can and will fit within their system. But at his age, it's just like, I don't know how that situation is going to get resolved. Obviously, big personality in Draymond Green, doesn't get paid. What does that look like? How is he going to react if Golden State says, you know what, no, you can walk or we're going to trade you? I just don't like the where we're headed here with Draymond, and then, does it have ripple effects throughout the roster, and what does that mean? I think it's a little, uneasy, and maybe that's fine. They won the title. Everything checks out, and we're good. But if you think Golden State is primed for another title, let me know. I'd love to hear the counter argument here. But that's going to do it for me for now. Take care of yourselves. Take it easy. And I'll see you next time.